Would you believe me if I told you there were 45 different toilets in The Sims 4? Because there are. Dare I say, this game might even have too many toilets. Like, there are so many different versions. And so today I thought it might be kind of fun to rank them all. So I made a tier list for it on that tier maker website. I'll link this down below if you want to rank them yourself. You're totally welcome to. And it contains a picture of every single toilet in this game. There's a couple of weird ones. For example, these two toilets right here you might not recognize. Those are base game toilets, but your sim has to craft them with the handiness skill. This one is the Throne of Thrones. And then we also have the in-house outhouse. There's also a couple of weird ones. For example, these outdoor retreat ones and these jungle adventure ones you can't access except for in debug. And there's 3 variants of each one, and they're all like set up as a different toilet in the catalog, but really it's the same toilet, just different swatches, so I only counted that as one. But otherwise, every toilet in the entire game is on this list, and we're going to rank them from iconic to ugly. So here's my idea on how we're going to break this down. Basically, the top of the tier is iconic. Think like the wackiest Sims toilets that are kind of weird, but it's okay because we love them anyway. And then useful would be like the normal toilets, the ones that we use in all of our regular builds. Odd is, you know, just as you might think it is, odd. It's not iconic, it's not ugly. It's just kind of weird. For some reason, I anticipate that will probably be the most full category. Then we go into useless territory. Not things that are like blatantly ugly. It's just like a little bit too weird to actually use and not odd enough to be funny. And then obviously ugly is just ugly. And we have 45 toilets to get through, so we better get started. I think I might begin with the pea bushes. Now we have 3 of them. These 2 from Get Together were the first ones ever, and then we got another one in Jungle Adventure. So in my mind, I feel like these 2 are more iconic. This one's good too. It's also cheap, which is really useful, but this is the classic one with the hearts, in my opinion. Honestly, I'm going straight up to iconic with the heart bush. It was the first one. It's silly. It's useful. This is probably my favorite toilet in the whole of The Sims 4. And then I think I might put the other 2 behind it in useful. I would say the Jungle Adventure one is more useful because it's cheaper. These 2 are like 190. That one's only 55, so that's way easier. You can put that down as a toilet. Your sim can sleep in it. They can woohoo in it. Like, really, this bush is all that you need. So I would argue it's the most useful toilet in the whole of The Sims 4. Couple other useful toilets. This one is like 500 simoleons. It's borderline cheap, but not too expensive. And I think it's an attractive toilet, so I often use that one in like all of my builds. When I made this category, I was picturing this toilet. I think I would also probably put the other 2 cheaper toilets in there. That's the cheapest base game one. I feel like those things all just get used all the time. I don't really like her. I think it's a little bit ugly, but it's passable and it's cheap. Now, there's a very fine line between iconic and odd. For example, we have 2 golden toilets in this game. We have this one with a swan. This one is from Get Famous. It also happens to cost 5,000 simoleons. And this one is the portal potty from Realm of Magic, and it's only 400. You know what? Dare I say, this one might even be ugly. The ridiculously expensive toilet, though, that you can get in solid gold, I think that one's iconic. Yeah, I might place that other one in ugly, though. I really don't like her. I've never used that, and it's gone like beyond useless to the point where it's ugly. I'm sorry if you like it. I'm not trying to like insult your toilets. I don't know about her. In a similar vein, those 2 toilets that your sim can craft, I understand it's very impressive to like make this with the handiness skill, but I don't like it. It's kind of ugly. This one's ugly too, but in a better way. Like, I would probably place that really ugly one, the cheap looking one, in iconic, and then the fancier one in ugly. Because you can't call it useless. Like, I never used that toilet, but it's not useless. It's kind of cool that your sims can craft it, but it's a little weird looking. For me, useless more looks like a lot of those more modern toilets. I'm thinking like this one from the fitness stuff pack. Honestly, this one from Spa Day, the one from Seasons. I don't really use those ever. They're not necessarily bad. I mean, I might consider this one to be ugly, but they're all very fancy, like stone toilets and stuff. I just never use these. Honestly, I think I've only ever used them when I was trying to make like pack only builds. You know, I'm like trying to use Spa Day, so I'm making an effort to use all the things from Spa Day, even the toilet that I don't like that much. Although I would say I probably like this one best out of the 3. I'm still gonna class them as useless because for me, I never use those. We actually have 5 litter boxes included in this. I know they're not like toilets, but the game classes them as toilets. They're in the toilet category, so they're gonna be in ours too. This one, in my opinion, is the best one. It's the most useful because this one is that laser litter box that'll like fry your cat's poops. It's nice to not have to clean them. The rest of them, like the cheapest ones you have to clean yourself, I'm gonna call them useless, okay? They're not necessarily useless because they function. It's just like, why have that when you can have this? And the last one, the weird yellow one, that might be my first odd toilet. Here's why. It works the same as the other one. They're both like litter lasers, but look at that for a second. Its eyes are what kills the poop. It's kind of scary, not in an ugly way, and it's not quite iconic. I think it's just odd. Not necessarily a bad thing, but I wouldn't call it a good thing either. Oh geez, this thing, ugly. Ugly. This one came with Eco Lifestyle. I have never used this. I didn't even want to use it in my Eco Lifestyle builds. I don't like the weird blue stuff. It's weird. I'm not sure about her. I think I'm gonna do something kind of bold. I'm gonna put one of the toilet stalls in the iconic category. And this is purely because we had to wait so long to get toilet stalls in this game. You'd think we'd have them sooner. The Sims 3 had them in the base game. We didn't get stalls until University came out. And that was like a full 5 years after The Sims 4 first came out. So we had to wait forever for these. And for that reason, I think this one is iconic and the more expensive one is useful. Do you know what? I might even say the toilet stall is my favorite part of the University pack. I know that's a bold thing to say, but like, I was really excited about that when the pack first came out. All right, my next choice is a weird one, but hear me out. This is the compact lavatory from Tiny Living. This is the cheapest base game toilet. Now, I will say this toilet is a little bit smaller than that one, but it's not really that much smaller than the cheapest base game toilet. This is the one from Snowy Escape. Dare I say that one is even smaller? This is the one from Spa Day. That one, honestly, even smaller. This is another base game toilet. You can stick that one kind of in the wall, kind of the same size. So we're left with the question, why did they make this? Like, I get it, you want to have a smaller toilet, but like, when you're so limited in the amount of items you can include in a pack, why did they make a toilet for Tiny Living? We got a sink as well. That one's actually pretty compact and skinny. We didn't get a shower though, so wouldn't it have made more sense to make like a compact shower? We have two of them right now, one from Discover University and one from Snowy Escape. Wouldn't it have made more sense to make a shower like this for Tiny Living instead of the toilet? I never understood that. I never got why they kept putting toilets in packs because they're all pretty much the same, hence the video. And so for that reason, I'm going to put the Tiny Living toilet in the odd category just because I don't understand why it exists. I kind of feel that same way about a lot of the other ones that we've got left. For example, this cats and dogs one. First of all, it's got copper accents. It's called the Copper Stopper. Honestly, I quite like it, but it's really expensive. It's 1,200 simoleons and it's got like the accents to it. What is up with that? Odd, just odd. This is the most expensive base game toilet. It's 1,800 simoleons. Believe it or not, that seasons one is actually more expensive, but this is the most expensive base game toilet. And it's also technically worse than this cheaper one. This one is reliability 8. It works off the grid, comfort 4, bladder 10. This one's reliability 3, so it breaks more often. Why would you pick that one? I was gonna put it in odd, but honestly, I might stick it in useless. Maybe I'll put that cheaper expensive one up in useful then, because it's way more reliable. And if there's one thing you need with a toilet, it needs to be reliable, okay? And listen, if a toilet needs to be one thing, it needs to be reliable, so useful. I'm gonna be honest, I've been putting off the talking toilets. Here's the thing about these, right? They added them in City Living, and I want to call them iconic, but like, they're so weird. Your sim can literally build relationship with these, and it'll like show up in the relationship panel like where their friends are. And you can also use them more often and they like get more skills. Like you click on it and you can use it and sanitize yourself, or you could use it and get a massage. It's really bizarre. I really, really want to put this one in ugly. I'm sorry, but some of the swatches are so bad, but it's almost so bad that it's iconic. This one's not as offensive. It's just a little bit odd. And so I think for that reason, I'm putting the cheaper one in odd and the uglier one in iconic. There's a really fine line between iconic and ugly too. Like I would probably put all of these things in the ugly category, and that's almost why they're iconic. This one I'm also not sure about where to put because I love the idea of like an old-fashioned tank toilet, but I also don't love the swatches they gave us. Like I don't understand why they're all so fancy. Like why is it gold? Couldn't we have gotten like a solid white one or something? Why is there a red and black one? It's because it's from vampires, that's why. But I don't think I can call it useful, but I'm not gonna call it useless either. I think I'll put it in odd. Okay, I've kind of been putting off all these public bathrooms because I don't know what to do with them. them, so I should probably do that next. We do actually have a ton of them. They tend to make one for a lot of the expansion packs when they're trying to go for like a really different vibe. We got this one from Snowy Escape, this one's from Island Living, we have a couple base game ones. I think I would call them all useful, and I also don't think that I would call any of them ugly. And you certainly can't say they're useless because you could just like throw it on a park and then have a bathroom. I do think that some are more useful than others. For example, I sort of feel fondly towards this one from Outdoor Retreat because in this one you can shower. The rest of them you can just use the bathroom, but in this one you can take a shower. And it costs like 10 simoleons to shower, which is kind of cool. So I kind of like the Outdoor Retreat one better than the rest. And I'm pretty sure this Jungle Adventure one is the same way. You know what? I hate to say it, maybe I do think this one is ugly. I'm like looking at them all. This one is by far my least favorite. That's the Get Together one. It actually comes in a couple of swatches and that doesn't help their case. All right, well, you're going in ugly. And maybe I'll stick that Outdoor Retreat one up in useful, but I'll just put it like as the first one in useful. And then we'll all know that it's the best one. The rest I won't really bother ranking over each other because I don't think any of them are better or worse than the rest. They all kind of like fit a certain style, right? Like this one's better for placing on the beach than that one is, but I wouldn't say that one is better than that one. It's just they're better for different contexts. Now, I want to do something that you might disagree with me for, but I kind of want to put all of the toddler potties in the useless category. I understand that you're supposed to potty train toddlers, okay? But I also understand that I don't often bother with potty training my toddlers. And nothing happens if you don't potty train them. Back in The Sims 3, if you didn't give your toddlers all their skills, like they had to learn how to talk, walk, and potty, if you didn't get them all, they would like age up with a bad trait, like it would randomize a bad trait for them. That doesn't happen anymore, so like, why bother, you know? Save yourself the time and pain. Just don't deal with it. I need to look at the rest of these in-game now. I will say, I don't find myself using this particular toilet very often, and this is a base game one. It's kind of expensive. It's not terrible, but I don't love most of the swatches. This is the Snowy Escape toilet. This one I don't use that often, mostly just because I kind of gravitate towards base game toilets, but this one has some pretty fun swatches. I think I might stick that Snowy Escape one at useful, and honestly, I might put the base game one in useless because like, we already have like 44 other versions of this same toilet. This is the only like more modern base game toilet. It comes in some pretty good swatches. It's not really my personal style, but I think it serves a purpose. So I might stick it up in useful. And you know what? Now that I'm doing this, I might drag this one down to ugly. I'm sorry, but I really don't like that toilet and we already have a couple cheap ones. So she serves no purpose. Go away. I don't know what it is, but I really, really don't like this one. It just looks so weird and boxy and it's not even that much better than the cheapest one. And the cheapest one is cheaper and works off the grid. Like this one is worlds better. We only have 2 left and both of them are like special unlockables. This one you unlock from the detective career. It's like a metal toilet that's meant to be placed, I think, in like the jail cells in the detective career. I wouldn't go so far as to call it iconic, but I wouldn't call it ugly either. I think the only place for it is odd. Like there's not really a reason for it to exist. I mean, there is, but it's not that necessary. It's just kind of weird. And last, but certainly not least, is this 2,000 simoleon toilet called the Critical Throne that you unlock at level 10 of the Critic career. So this one is very hard to get and it has a couple very odd swatches. It's also just a recolor of the cheapest base game toilet. Like this is the most expensive toilet in the game and it's just a painted version of the cheapest one. It is nice. I mean, comfort 4, reliability 8, inspiring decor. You could stick it in your, you know, art studio or something, but it's just kind of weird. Like I really don't think that I can call it iconic because I don't spend a lot of time thinking about this toilet. Its whole existence is just kind of odd. And I think that is my finished ranking of all of the toilets in The Sims 4. I think I feel pretty good about my choices here. I stand by all of my iconic selections. I think those all fit very well up there. If you want to do this tier list, I'll link the tier maker that I made down below so that you can do it too. And also, if you like these sort of like ranking of Sims stuff type of videos, I've made quite a few. For example, I made one ranking all of the plants in The Sims 4 once. I've ranked the packs and the worlds and all of that stuff, so I can link some videos down below if you want to watch those as well. And in the comments, let me know what kind of ranking you want to see next, because I think I'm gonna do ranking all of the deaths in The Sims 4 next. But what else would you want to see? Dumb things like toilets, or maybe more useful things like gameplay features? I mean, I'm curious. And with that being said, I'm gonna go, so I will catch you all tomorrow. Bye, everybody. I'm kind of embarrassed by how long I spent setting up this video, by the way. This is probably one of the dumbest ones that I've ever made.